You ever see someone get a $12,000 insurance bill and still say, yeah, I'm staying? No joke, it happens actually a lot more than you'd think. And here's the wild part, besides all these rocks and stuff. Some folks are actually paying less than their neighbors for pretty much the same exact place. So yeah, living in South Florida can feel, whoa, like a financial roller coaster. One month, everything feels dialed in. The next, complete surprise costs, rising rates, shifting priorities. But the twist, some people are actually beating the system, paying less, living better, not on rocks. Meanwhile, others stuck paying top dollar for a lifestyle that doesn't even hit the same anymore. So the real question isn't, can I afford it? It's, is this even still worth it? So in this video, we're breaking it all down. What it costs to live in South Florida, what kind of lifestyle that number actually buys you, and whether or not it still makes sense for you and your family. South Florida gets all the spotlight, the sun, the style, the waterfront, pretty much everything. But I've seen what it's like when the numbers actually hit the inbox and people start doing the math out loud. Not just the big moves or the dream scenarios. I'm talking about the real day-to-day decisions. I live here, I work here, and I talk to people every single day who are still trying to figure this place out. Some are all in, others are on the fence, and some people, they're just plain overwhelmed, let's just be honest. But there is no one-size-fits-all answer. It really all depends on how you want to live, what you value, and what trade-offs really feel worth it to you at the end of the day. And that's what this breakdown is really about. What you pay, what you get, and really how to make sense of both of them to really fit your lifestyle. Because before we talk paddle boards and boozy brunches, we've got to start where it all begins, the price tag, and everything that's really hiding behind it. Let's say you're looking at two places. One's a 4-bedroom house out in Davie, quiet street, solid build, plenty of room to breathe. You have mature trees, kids riding bikes, neighbors who actually wave back to you when you drive by. Then on the flip side of things, a modern condo in Brickell with a full service, pretty much everything. I'm talking gym, concierge, spa, you name it, high floor, beautiful, breathtaking waterfront views, ballet downstairs, sushi 2 blocks away, and the skyline lit up at night like a true screensaver. Same sun, same palm trees, completely different setup. The question isn't just, can I afford it? It's, does this feel like my actual life I want to live? Now in insurance, you'd think newer homes or certain areas would be predictable. Well, unfortunately, they're not. 2 houses, same layout. One quote could come in at about $5,500, the other at $11,000. And most of the time, there's no clear reason why. Some people are finally catching a break, while others are watching their rates go up even when nothing's changed. And car insurance, that's another layer altogether, especially if you got multiple drivers under one roof. I feel sorry for my dad growing up. This is usually where things shift from excited to wait, what are we actually getting ourselves into? That's why we step in. Our real estate team doesn't just help people find the right place, we help them understand the full picture. So if you're piecing this together right now and the numbers feel like a complete moving target, check the description and reach out. Our info's also on the screen. We've got your back on this because once the price makes sense, you've earned the right to ask the actual fun question. What's this lifestyle actually like? You know what happens once the dust actually settles and you finally land in the right spot? You start to realize what life could have felt like all along and why you didn't actually move here sooner. Mornings don't start in traffic anymore. They start early, quiet, light breezes, paddleboards sliding out over the water near Biscayne Bay or Birch State Park. No alarms blasting, just the splash of a heron taking off behind the mangroves. Evening shift too. You're not racing to catch your breath. You got plenty of time. You meet friends at Miami Beach or Del Rey for tacos and drinks, under string lights, music spilling out onto the patios. It's Thursday, and somehow it actually feels like a Saturday. There's a rhythm to this place that kind of sneaks up on people if you're not aware. Maybe it's the year-round farmers markets, or the pop-ups in Victoria Park, or the fact that someone's always inviting you to something outside. There's literally something to do almost every day, especially run clubs and wellness clubs. It seems like they're popping up everywhere, and they're actually a ton of fun and a great way to meet people. We actually just did one last week in Fort Lauderdale, and it was really cool. You come for the weather, but you stay because you finally feel human again. Even the way people work looks a little bit different. I know folks in Pompano who log off by 3, take their kids out on the boat, and still make it back for dinner before sunset. That's not a vacation, it's just a normal Wednesday here. So now I'm asking you, what kind of lifestyle really fits your rhythm? Are you all about the waterfront views and walkable to everything? Or does something quieter with a lot more space and stillness really speak to you? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know what kind of life you're looking to build here in South Florida. But the deeper you get into it, the clearer it really becomes. This place is still shifting and still really surprising people. And some of the best lifestyle upgrades, yeah, they're still under construction. Now, not everyone stays, and that's not the headline people usually lead with, but it's actually part of the real story. I sat with a couple in Boca a few months ago. They'd been here nearly 2 decades against not going anywhere. They loved the pace, loved the neighbors, but recently things started adding up pretty quickly. They had insurance hikes, roof repairs, and their adult kids have moved out of state, so they were all alone. This huge home for just 2 people. They weren't rushing to leave. They were just sitting at the table, looking at each other and asking, does this still fit us and our lifestyle? That moment happens a lot more than people think. Some are moving north, think the Carolinas, Tennessee, and even across pretty much to Texas. Not always because they want to, but because they feel like they have to at the end of the day. Meanwhile, others are doubling down. People in Miami trading noise for space up in Coral Springs and Plantation, retirees leaving Parkland or Weston to move out east and finally live on the water, and some of these brand new condos coming to places like that of Pampa, yes, aka Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, or even Boca. Then we have newcomers skipping the beachfront entirely, and they're landing in places like that of Davie or Plantation because they're chasing stability, not necessarily the flash. Now, these aren't random moves. They're thought out, specific. People are choosing how they want to live, not just where they want to live. And in more and more conversations, something keeps rising to the surface. They're not just after the square footage or the finishes. They want something that supports the life they're trying to build from the inside out. Now, some communities are starting to take that seriously. In certain neighborhoods, the quiet hits different, not from distance, but by design. There's a mid-rise here in Fort Lauderdale where the strongest scent in the lobby is actually eucalyptus and not cologne, surprisingly. In the elevator, it's a different story. But cold plunges really fill up before most people actually wake up. There's no noise, no scenes, just a different rhythm. Then you have out in Westlake, one of the newer communities down here in South Florida. It's actually the newest one, where it's not centered around the pool. They actually wrap around the body, not like that. Shaded walking loops, tucked in meditation decks, and community gyms. You don't have to ask where the wellness is, it ultimately finds you. We helped someone settle into a spot in Miramar last year. Nothing flashy, pretty straightforward layout, neutral tones, practical upgrades to 2025. She wasn't chasing a wellness lifestyle, but a few months in, she said that something stuck. I stopped waking up overwhelmed, and my mornings actually felt like mine again. That's something you really want. No hack, no app, just space that gave her breath back. Then we have areas like that in West Palm where the gym overlooks the sunrise. Not an afterthought, actually part of the blueprint. And after, you can actually walk and grab a smoothie or a bowl pretty much at Pura Vida. Some people call that the perfect morning. Ultimately, it does sound like it. You walk through these places and new priorities show up without explanation. It's not about features. It's about what happens when the house stops working against you. It reshapes how people think about value. Not in the dollar per square foot way, it just in the feels right kind of way. I had a conversation recently with someone who had been in Miami for over a decade. They had a beautiful spot, strong ties, but life started pulling in a completely different direction. He didn't want more house. Ultimately, he just wanted something a little bit more calm. So now he's up in Coral Springs, definitely fewer distractions, a yard that actually gets used, and mornings that don't really feel like a race anymore. It wasn't about settling. It was about finding the right rhythm for him and ultimately you. That's the kind of shift more people are making. They're not chasing the hype anymore, just dialing into what feels better for them and their family long term. And that answer, it's truly different for everyone. It's not one size fits all. Some need more space, some need less. Some want walkability, energy, and waterfront views, while others want sky and silence. What matters is knowing what you're trading for what. And that's ultimately where we actually step in. We help you look beyond just the listing, into the lifestyle, the blind spots, and the math behind what it's really going to feel like day to day. So if this place has been on your radar, but you're still sorting through the what ifs, check the description and our info's on the screen as well. Reach out and we'll walk you through it every step of the way. And if you're still in the explore mode, I've got a playlist lined up that breaks down more neighborhoods, more nuance, and more of what most people really don't see coming here in South Florida. Thanks for being here. I'm Vairo, and I'll catch you in the next video.